and welcome to Crown Melbourne and to the Aussie Millions cash game. Now, we're having a fabulous day here at South Bank, but all the action is going on inside, and we've seen some incredible poker already being played. The winnings are pretty high, and you never know what to expect with a game like this. So let's go check it out.
And there they are. The Aussie Millions Poker Championship High Stakes Cash Game is well underway, and a $250,000 price tag on each seat for any of these players who travel from all over the world to come to the Aussie Millions. 2014 has been such a big year. This is one of the feature events, one of the highest cash games in the world, really. And I set aside 2007 grand final winner of the APPT, Grant Levy. We've seen a lot of action. We know a lot of these names. There's Max Altergott from Germany. He put some chips in. Sitting next to him, Patrick Antonius. He looks like he's getting involved. Altergott with 4s and Antonius with 2s.
Yeah, it's been some interesting play, that's for sure. Look at Lo's stack there. That's Lo Xing Feng. He's sitting there with about $1 million in chips. Those plaques are worth 25,000 each. Orange chips are worth 5,000, and the blue one's worth 1,000. And as Paul said, each of these players have a minimum of 250,000.
Wow, what a flop. Ace-5 deuce. So Patrick Antonius flopping a set of ducks.
And Max Altergott with the gut shot draw, which means he needs a 3 for a straight. Not sure what the other players have.
Betting 25,000.
Well, Patrick not wasting any time. He bets 25,000. The pot now up to 62. We're still waiting to find out what the other players have. There's Doug Polk from the United States.
And it's a good spot for Patrick to lead out. There's 4 other players. There's an ace-high board. He has a set. He would like to assume that one of these players at least has an ace in their hand and aren't going to fold.
Well, we saw Doug Polk call, and we saw Low fold pocket 8s.
So he's thinned the field right down to heads up.
Heads up.
The turn is a 10. Looks like the 10 of spades. So not knowing what Polk has, he's made the call of Patrick's bet. The pot now at $87,000 cash. What do you think he might have here, Grant?
Well, I mean, Doug has called. Patrick bet into 4 other players, so you'd like to think that Doug's got a good pair here. Likely he's got an ace or even a flush draw.
Patrick betting 2 plaques and a red chip. That equates to $55,000. Each of the plaques, $25,000 each. Polk will let it go, and Patrick will take the first round. And he takes it down with a very nice set of 2s, and he's played it very nicely.
And Doug indeed did have an ace. He had a good ace. He's made a very good fold there. The fold was made easy in the fact that Patrick let out into 4 people, which means he's got to be pretty strong, and then he bets strongly again on the turn. It's a good fold with the ace-jack.
Well, Patrick has been around cash games for a very long time, very experienced campaigner. Here is our leaderboard, which also sort of works as a balance sheet. And at the top, you see Lo Xing Feng. If the players are in white, then they've made money, and the players in red have lost money. And Lo Xing Feng, he won one of the biggest pots you've ever seen. He's up $800,000. Phil Ivey there, up 400. And way down the bottom, all those players in red, $500,000 down, 400,000 down. Lots of ground to make up. Ike Haxton was there. He's got some work to do. Actions on Antonius again. It looks like he's going to get involved again.
Raise to 7,000.
Raises it up to 7,000. Folds around to Phil Ivey. He will fold. Low. Action-packed player. Creative, courageous, and will play anything. Very hard to read.
Low sitting there with a paltry stack of 650 big blinds. You just never get that in a poker tournament, that's for sure. But it's all about the effective stacks. Patrick does have a good $500,000 in front of him at least. So they're very deep stacked here.
3 props. Only. You just really want to gamble with Paul, don't you?
I
never beat him. You know how much I lose to him in props? Forget it. Not me. One day he killed me.
Paul knew he raises it up, and you could hear in the background Phil Ivey talking about how he cannot beat Paul in a prop bet.
Every hand.
Prop betting a real big feature amongst high stakes players.
Yeah, they bet on 2 flies racing up the wall, I think, Paul. So would I, mind you.
Oh, Phil Ivey. Poor Phil, he's running pretty bad.
Okay, 3 players.
Come on, you don't
Can
see.
we write down and look at it?
Yeah, you can write down. Put it in front of you. Okay.
So they're going to write down some prop bets.
So Paul Foy is stuck $500,000. Phil Ivey's up almost $500,000.
Look at this for a flop. A Jack 8-9 flop. And we know Antonius has 10-8 of hearts. What a flop for him.
Straight flush draw with a bottom pair.
Next thing you hit 150. Keep hitting 150 every time until you don't do it. But it doesn't happen that much.
Okay, 50, 100, 150.
Oh, there's some crazy side betting action going, but meanwhile, there's $76,000 in the middle. Lowe has, we know, a queen of diamonds. That'll work for that board. And Patrick with bottom pair and a straight flush draw bets, makes the pot 121,000. We still don't know what Paul knew he had, and he was the aggressor pre-flop. It looks like Lowe looks like he's going to stay involved. Yes, he makes the call.
Trying to look as nonchalant as possible. We know he's got at least a gut shot. Queen with the queen of diamonds. 10 will give him a straight. But Patrick has a monster hand. He has a straight flush draw. It's not a made hand. He's just got a pair of 8s at the moment, but it's a huge draw. Paul Newey in this pot as well. I'm not sure what he has, but he's certainly contemplating getting involved. It's 166,000 in the pot. A bet of 45,000, so he'd want a good hand to continue, I think.
Especially into a bet and a call. Well, he changed his mind just then as he reached for chips.
It's a very draw-heavy board. Certainly can't be too comfortable with a lot of hands, even overpairs here.
And Paul will fold. 2 players remain.
His heads up.
Here comes the turn. It is a king of hearts, so Patrick's flush. Well, he's got a lock on this hand unless... Well, he does have a lock on this hand. Lowe can't... Well, there it is. Queen Jack offsuit, so Lowe with a pair of jacks. They both check. We go to a river. Another jack. That'll cost Lowe a lot of money, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, I mean, the board is still very drawy. But there's 3 hearts on there. There's straights possible. But Lowe does have trips. I think he's going to call a decent size bet. And the fact that he's got 75 billion in front of him.
Well, decent it is. $130,000. And Lowe's first instinct was to pick up chips, and he just puts them in there. 130 grand.
Oh my God.
So Lowe realising that he's beaten.
He
doesn't even want to let go of his cards.
So bad, doesn't he, Paul?
Yeah, how unlucky. So
Would you like me to open it?
Lowe there showing us that he's happy to make a call, even if it costs a lazy 130 grand. And we'll be back with more high-stakes cash games at the Aussie Millions.
While every year hundreds of poker players travel from all over the world to take part in the Aussie Millions, it's perhaps something completely unrelated to poker that many would say is the highlight of the tournament. I can't wait to get in there.
Aussie Millions is Melbourne. Melbourne is Aussie Millions, right? No one throws a party like Australians do. I mean, this is amazing tonight.
To be honest with you, this is one of the best spots in the world.
Are you lying to us?
No, totally serious.
The Aussie Millions is definitely one of my favorite tournaments in the world. It's just so much fun.
You know, when I come out here, I just want to have a lot of fun, and then when I get to poker, damn serious.
You enjoy a bit of a party?
Oh, of course. It's nice to let your hair down and have a drink, isn't it?
The party's been great. Like, the atmosphere is awesome. We're right by the pool. We got DJs, dancers. It's just fun.
Yes, one of the biggest tournaments in the world, and do they put on a show here at Crown Melbourne at the Aussie Millions 2014. We are watching the high-stakes cash games, and right there is the balance sheet. If your player is in white on the right-hand side, they are making money, and if they're in red, they're losing money. At the moment, Phil Ivey's made the most, and Ike Haxton has lost the most. We saw footage there of Daniel Negreanu, and we also saw the hometown hero, 2005 World Series of Poker champion Joe Hashem.
And as you may have noticed on that chip count board, we've lost the two Macau businessmen, Paul Foy and Lowe, and they've been replaced by this man, Christoph Vogelsang from Germany, and a guy that needs no introduction, Tom de Douan from the United States. Both big high-stakes cash game players.
Well, it looks like he's not going to waste any time getting involved here. Phil Ivey opens with ace-8 of hearts. And straight away, a raise of 19,000. I will remind everybody it is cash, and that is why Vogelsang has picked up jacks. There is Douan. Plays the cash game every year here at Aussie Millions, and Phil will look him up with ace-8 of hearts. So a little bit of action early. The pot around 43,000 Australian dollars cash, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the flop. It is a 5, an 8, and a 7. So, well, that could mean a little bit of trouble for Phil. Well, money-wise anyway.
It's a coordinated board as well. And there is occasions where the call of the pre-flop 3-bet can indicate those middling type of hands here. 5s, 7s, 8s, 9s. It certainly hits some two-pair combinations as well.
Action on Vogelsang, counting out a bet.
That's 24,000.
24,000 over to Phil now. He makes the call.
Change taken.
Oh, this is me, by the way.
Here comes the turn. It is a 10. Well, that could slow him down as well. Although he has picked up a gut shot straight draw.
He's picked up a gut shot. And again, that card does hit some calling ranges from Ivy pre-flop.
It's a nice little start.
He hands like 10-9, 10-8,
I crossed out 2
8-9. Certainly those middling type of hands that Phil Ivy's been known to play.
I'm reading them in your phone. That would have been a bad
It's
sleep.
definitely a bet here from Vogelsang. He still has the overpair. He still has a gut shot straight draw.
And he checks. So we'll see a river. And it is a king. So Vogelsang with the best hand of jacks. Ivy checks here. Will Vogelsang bet? The pot's at 91,000 here, Grant.
Well, Ivy has checked 3 times. It's a 3-bet pot. Will Vogelsang go for some thin value? I think he probably will. A bet of about 35,000, 40,000.
Vogelsang really taking his time. I'm sitting aside 2007 Grand Final APPT winner Grant Levy. You were right, he checks behind. So he will show his jacks and Phil Ivey mucks. So Vogelsang just sat down and casually wins a pot of nearly 100,000 Australian dollars.
I did my undergraduate in Germany in business economics, and then I went to London to do a master in risk and finance. In general, I prefer cash games to tournaments because cash games play deeper, and so the amount of strategic options in cash games is bigger, and your advantages can be bigger in cash games.
Well, if he's assessing risk, I'm not sure what to make of his risk at this table. He must back himself quite a bit. You are watching the high stakes cash game at the 2014 Aussie Millions.
Maybe you forget. You gotta keep telling it, otherwise you forget.
Remember, you can
Raise to 6,000.
rebuy or add to your stack, I should say, at any time.
And we got a re-raise to 22,000. 22,000 to go.
So Douan there, 3-betting with pocket queens, and Newey will make the call on the button with pocket 7s. Set mining, a big underdog in this pot, and the pot already at $48,000 cash. The flop. It is a King 5-4 flop.
And we all know Tom Dwan. We all know that he can be tricky.
Checks.
So Paul Newey comes along from the button there. He's got position, so he gets to act
That's
after
30,000.
Tom. And he's bet out 30,000.
Really taking his time and taking a good stare at Paul, making the call. The pot now over $100,000. The turn, a deuce of clubs.
Tom adds a flush draw with his queens. And I think he's just going to play this pretty snug, which is the right play. He does have the overcard there.
It does go check, check. The river now is an ace of hearts. Well, that's an interesting card. Perhaps an opportunity, Grant.
Check.
Yeah, I think Tom's just going to check. Yes, he does.
Yeah,
I was
he
about to
does.
say he's just going to check call again, I think, but Newey doesn't take the bait.
So Tom Dwan playing that hand pretty softly and getting away with it, winning a pot of about $108,000. And we'll be back with more high-stakes cash games here at the Aussie Millions. Welcome back to the Aussie Millions Poker Championships High Stakes Cash Game, one of the features of the Aussie Millions Poker Series in January 2014. There is the leaderboard, which acts as a balance sheet for us to let us know how the players are going. On the right-hand side, if your player is in white, they are making money, and if they're in red, they're losing money. You can see Phil Ivey's sitting on top. He's got a lot of chips. He's known as the best player in the world, so it's really not a mystery to see that he's got so many chips in front of him. The plaques that you see are $25,000 each. The orange chips are $5,000, and I believe the blues are $1,000. We've got Max Altergott from Germany with pocket twos. He opens the action. Round to Ike Haxton, who's had a very interesting time at this table. He elects to call with ace-queen, and it is the ace-queen of spades. Round to Doug Polk. He also has ace-queen offsuit.
And we can see that Isaac is playing less than the 250,000 that most of the other players are playing with. He's still deep though.
And there is the flop. It is an 8-8-6 flop with two clubs. And it quickly goes check, check. Round to Max with pocket deuces. He will check as well. The turn is another 6, so Max is counterfeit.
Yeah, Max has the nut low. The other two players, two pair with the ace kicker, probably believe that it's good. And Isaac's actually free rolling Doug. He's got the flush draw.
Well, he fires 10,000. The pot now up to 30. Polk, very reasonable to believe his ace could be good here. He makes the call. And Max Altergott folds. Here comes the river. And it is the 9 of spades. So Ike Haxton makes his flush on the river.
Now, he's never going to go overboard with the two pair on the board here. But he would hope to get a call out of ace high with the double paired board. Two pair with the best kicker. So Isaac's just got to figure out how much will Doug pay me. These guys have got a lot of history. Would have played a lot of hands together online. And Isaac, I believe, will go for some value here. His bet sizing has been on the large side in previous hands to this, but no, he's checked.
Well, a change of heart, perhaps thinking about betting. He checks, and his flush will be good.
Shows ace queen. You have a flush.
Well, Doug just letting him know that he has a flush, and Ike simply saying, I know, I've got a flush. Good enough to win a $40,000 pot. It doesn't seem like much at this table, but $40,000, Grant. It's quite incredible.
Well, when you're stuck $500,000, 40,000 isn't a great deal, but it's a step in the right direction for Isaac.
It sure is. The button is with Ike Haxton. This is our feature table at the Aussie Millions High Stakes Cash Game. A game that attracts players from all over the world year in, year out They come here, they play the 25k tournaments, the main event for 10,000, the 100k and the super high roller, and then there is the cash game. So many ways to spend your money, really. But a wonderful series, one of the biggest in the world, right here at Crown Melbourne. Doug Polk with 7-4 offsuit, and Patrick Antonius, we don't know yet what he has, and the flop, a 7-4-5, so he must have known Grant.
It's easy when you know it's coming, Paul. Just top and bottom pair for Doug. No idea what Patrick's got.
That's 6,000.
2 clubs on board, so there's a draw out there. Pretty coordinated board.
Well, Antonius bets 6,000, and Polk calls, the pot climbing to 18,000. The turn, a 5 of hearts.
Now that is a card that could potentially counterfeit Doug's hand. He's leading out.
5,000.
I guess he wants to know where he stands in the hand. If Patrick has an overpair here, then he's taken the lead. Obviously, if he has a 5, that's also good. Or if he has a better 7, that's now good as well.
23,000.
Well, Polk electing to lead into Patrick that time. Patrick having none of it and raising.
And Doug flopped a very big hand that has become a much smaller hand. He just has 2 pair 7s and 5s with no kicker. Still has top pair, of course. But it's very vulnerable at this point.
Well, he makes the call. You can hear a lot of chatter at these tables. Quite incredible. We're talking about prop betting and stuff. The river is a queen of spades.
I expect Patrick continue with the aggression here. Reach for a lot of chips.
$90,000 is the bet from Patrick Antonius. Quite a big bet there, Grant.
That's a big bet. It's almost 1.5 times the size of the pot. Often big bets like this are stone cold nuts or very, very strong hands, making it look like it's bluffy and just trying to buy the pot. And Polk doesn't have much. He's just got middle pair there with a pair of 7s. It's a paired board. There's an overcard to his 7 as well, and he's got no kicker at all. So he's playing 7s and 5s with a queen kicker. He can beat a bluff, and he can beat a 4.
It's a big decision, isn't it? He obviously thinks he's good here. He's reaching for chips. He's not convinced with Patrick's big bet. Oh, look at this. He's reaching for more chips than I thought he might.
Well, he realises his hand doesn't have a great deal of value, and he thinks he can get Patrick off by putting in a big raise.
Wow, this is going to be a big raise. Well, let's wait for the amount. That is a huge raise.
One day you were just dead asleep. It was weird. In Macau?
And Patrick has to have a think about this.
302,000 is the bet. The pot now at almost $500,000, and Patrick turning almost like an action hero and looking at him with a stare. He can't believe that raise came.
He's probably wishing he'd just bet about half pot. The fact that he's bet so big means he's faced with a huge raise.
All of a sudden, all the chatter at the table has backed off. They've realised that these guys are in a $500,000 pot.
He doesn't like it. And I'm almost certain that Patrick's got the best hand here.
Call.
Wow, he does call. Let's see if you're right, Grant. He turns over his hand, and it is 8-6. So, wow, look at that. He's flopped a straight. He must have considered that that was a full house that he was going to call off to.
No.
Yeah, it was a nice little move from Doug, that's for sure.
Just the blinds in it.
But Patrick just grits the teeth and calls with the straight.
Wow, well, that is a huge pot of almost $750,000 in cash. And Doug Polk just smiles. Oh, well, I had a go. What do you
I wanted
do?
to make a tanking joke, but I felt like, well, I'm just like bluff raising 300K in the river, probably just stay quiet.
I'm just telling you, you got so unlucky because I think I folded. It's like
My head is spinning from the prop, so I just couldn't fold it.
Well, on the river, this is an absolutely high-level situation. The hand gets to the end. Now, Doug Polk called the raise in the turn, and he's in a tough spot when Patrick decides to overbet. Generally in this spot, when someone bets more than the pot, that means they're on a complete bluff or they've got a monster. So typically, if you have a mediocre hand, it makes sense to call. Well, that's what Doug has, a 7. He can beat all the bluffs, but not any of the good hands. So then Polk just decides to go bonkers and raise. This is really high-level thinking. He thought to himself, if Patrick has a straight or just trip 5s, I might get him to fold. As it turns out, it didn't work out that way. Patrick made the call, but you gotta give the guy credit for really putting Patrick to the test.
We are here at the Aussie Millions Poker Championships at Crown Melbourne. Welcome to the high stakes cash game, the $250,000 buy-in. That's exactly how much it costs you cash to sit down at this table. There is the balance sheet. Patrick Antonius with a huge pot, now up to $600,000 in profit, just about anyway. If you're in white, you're making money, and if you're in red, you're losing money. Ike Haxton, Paul Newey, they're all around the bleeding mark of about $300,000 in the red. So we will rejoin the action now. And the chips are certainly moving around this table. And once again, I'll remind you, I know I keep saying it, it is cash. Grant, you've been playing this such a long time. I have been watching this for such a long time, but it never, ever ceases to amaze me. I can't get my head around it.
Well, they're playing for big stakes, Paul. It's always good to watch. And these guys are certainly not afraid to put chips in the middle. A lot of them have got a lot of history together. But when we're playing with 200, 250 big blinds, 500,000 chips in your stack, you've certainly got to have ice in the veins.
You got 5 players?
Oh, 5 players to this flop. Altergott with ace-queen. And the flop is a Jack-9-6 flop, 2 diamonds. Newey with King-8 of hearts. Dwan with 7-9. Polk with Queen-Jack.
Check.
Phil Ivey flopping equity since 1988.
Check.
He has the flush draw.
Check.
Polk with the best hand, just with a lowly pair of jacks. There's a lot of draws potentially on this board.
38,000 in the middle.
Seat 4 bets, 22,000.
22,000.
22,000.
Betting is like asking a question sometimes, and it's basically what Doug Polk just did. Ivy will call.
And I think just about everyone else will get out of the way, Paul.
Fold.
Max does, around to Paul Newey.
See up.
Fold.
And one, you're exactly right. We have 2 players remaining. Ivy to the turn on the draw, and of course, Ivy does what Ivy does. 2 diamonds on the turn.
That is a huge shock. Phil Ivey getting there. And poor Doug Polk. He's had a great day. He's just lost a big pot, and he's about to lose another one to the world's best player.
Well, action's on Phil. He fires the pot, a little under 150k. Polk looking for chips.
Yeah, cool.
And he makes a call. That was over 50,000, close to 60. The river, a 6 of clubs. Phil Ivey with a king-high flush.
And that 6 changes nothing.
Ivy moves all in.
6, all in.
Well, Doug doesn't have many chips, so the bet isn't as big as what you think. That's an effective bet just to cover Doug's stack. So even though Phil has, 600 or 700,000, the bet is technically for 160k, which is what Doug has got in his stack.
Definitely costs 8, 10, 8, 7, 8. Queen 10.
The pot at $362,000.
And as I said on the flop, I said there's a lot of draws out there. Doug is contemplating that Phil was on one of those draws and has missed. He's saying 7-8, 10-8, Queen 10. Trying to convince himself that Phil's missed his draw.
Well, there's a real tug of war going on inside Doug Polk, as we see there, there's another guy that loves the Aussie Millions, Gus Hansen, former winner of the main event, also has a tendency to play the high stakes cash game.
It's been a while since Gus has dropped a couple of 100,000. He might as well jump in.
Well, Doug Polk makes a good fold in the end. That cost him a fair bit, and Ivy takes a really nice pot on the turn to build that stack even more with his king high flush.
How's it going?
Maybe Gus is waiting for a seat. Phil Ivey, well, he's not arguably the best player in the world. He is the best player in the world, and he's been coming to the Aussie Millions for years. Back in 2010, in the $100,000 event, he went heads up with Dan Shack. And I must say, so many players thought he would take it out, but Dan Shack ran so well against him. And unfortunately for Phil, he couldn't take out the prize money. But he has come back time after time, year after year, success in almost every event. And here he is at the 250k high stakes cash game in 2014. As are many players like Patrick and Daniel Negreanu, Joe Hasham. This is his hometown here, Crown Melbourne.
And all those plaques that Patrick have are worth 25,000 each. He's sitting on a huge stack, covers everyone at the table.
And Vogelsang raises it up with pocket tens. Round to another German, Max Altergott. He 3-bets him. He's got ace king. And around to Ike Haxton, asks how much.
And you look at Gus Hansen in the background, just sweating on Isaac. He knows Isaac has had a bad day, doesn't have a lot of chips left. Gus is just saying, get him in, Isaac. Lose, I want to donate.
It's a hard game to get into sometimes.
And I tell you what, Isaac does have a hand that he can get in here, but he just selects to call. He's going to play this three-way with his jacks. Let's see if Isaac can flop a monster again and somehow get himself stacked. Cool it like he has been a few times today. He's had a very unlucky day.
Well, Vogelsang with tens, Haxton with jacks, Altergott with ace king, 3 very big hands going into this flop. The pot, 69,000. The flop, it is a jack 5-3 flop, so that is a great flop for Ike Haxton, who checks.
He's going to slow play his set here. And they're not going to put him on a hand as strong as Jack's, Paul, because as we know, he's on the shorter stack. There's raise and 3-bet in front of him. The standard play would be to 4-bet to try and get all your chips in there with Jacks, I would assume.
Will Altergott take a stab? He was the 3-bet aggressor pre-flop. He does take a shot. 24,000. It's a small bet.
Isaac did start the hand with 75 big blinds, so there is a little bit of room. Doesn't always have to 4-bet there.
How will he elect to play it? He just looked down at his chips just then. Will he call or will he raise?
I think calling is the right play.
Well, he follows your instructions, Grant. Will Vogelsang now come into the pot? No, he will not. So he gets out of the way. Tell you what, Altergott doesn't want to see an ace or a king on the turn. You'd think I didn't mean that. The turn was an ace of clubs.
Well, it's funny. He did want to see an ace on the turn. Little does he know
that he actually doesn't.
Yes, that's right.
Well, that could cost him a fair amount of money. He checks.
It goes check.
Wow, the river. Another ace. Well, Altergott here, this could cost him a lot of money.
It's going to cost him every single chip that Isaac has in his stack.
See 3 moves all in.
And I call.
Yeah, there it is. So Ike announces all in, and of course, Max says, I call. Why wouldn't you? Pretty big hand, ace king.
134, I think.
And Ike Haxton, who was really having a tough time at this table, has won a huge pot here.
Yeah, he's only 300,000 down for the day now, Paul. He's laughing all the way to the bank to get a loan.
Oh my goodness, I just can't get used to it. And we'll be back with more high-stakes cash games here at the Aussie Millions. Welcome back to the 2014 Aussie Millions Poker Championships. This is the 250k high stakes cash game. You are not watching a tournament, you are watching cash. If a player has white next to his name, he's doing well, he's making money like Patrick Antonius. with 585,000. However, if you've got red next to your name, you're not doing well. Doug Polk, he's down over $250,000, as is Paul Newey from England. So Ike Haxton, who was the biggest loser today, has worked his way back up, but he's still down over $100,000. And at any time, any of these players can reload or cash up. It is one of the features. You can go and come as you please, as long as you've got all that money in front of you to gamble. And over to Grant Levy, who's sitting with me, 2007 Grand Final APPT winner. Seen so much action at this table.
Yeah, it's been a fun table. Plenty of action. Plenty of guys running some good bluffs. And
there's an action flop.
The usual suspects, Ivy and Antonia, sitting with all the chips.
Well, Polk with King 10 off suit. He's flopped top pair in a straight draw. We don't know what Ivy has. It goes check from Ivy. Polk looks like he's going to bet.
We're not the first people to say we don't know what Ivy has, Paul.
I say it all the time. He bets into Ivy.
We know Doug's got the top pair in the straight draw.
Hard to sleep.
Bet and a call, we go to the turn. It is a 5 of hearts.
Puts 2 flush draws on the board there.
Check. Like the King 10-7.
Ivy checks again. Polk.
4, 5, 8.
We know Ivy has the 10 of hearts. Thanks for letting us know, Phil. And there we go, 10-9. He's just flopped us straight.
Phil Ivy.
Welcome to Ivy's world.
You run good.
Still vulnerable hand, though.
I say that respectfully. He's also a monster player.
It's a ridiculous combination.
It goes bet call again. And the river is a 10. Well, that's an interesting river card.
Well, there's 4 to a straight now. Any ace makes a straight. Phil does have the best hand.
But it makes both players check, fearing that the other player has an ace. And in the end, they don't. So Ivy's straight is best.
What about turn? Sure.
And what a shock. Chips get pushed to Phil Ivy's stack.
And you could say that 10 cost Ivy a little bit of money.
Yeah, it just makes it hard for him to get value. The ace is obviously in Doug's range.
Well, he doesn't look too unhappy collecting and piling up chips.
He's just lamenting the fact that he didn't raise the turn. He thinks he could have got a lot more value if he got a few more chips in on the turn.
C2 raises to 6,000.
Dwan opens to 6,000.
Tom's been pretty quiet so far, which is unlike him.
He has ace-king off suit. So let's see if he can get any action for his hand. Folds around, as does Phil. Round to Vogelsang, the German. He has ace-king offsuit also.
Big chips at the front, please, Christopher. I can't see how much you're playing.
What, you can't see the plaques for 25,000 each?
Well, I can see them. Trying to ignore them a little bit.
I can't take my eyes off them. So this will be interesting. One of those things in poker, when 2 players have the same hand, it's not always the same outcome. That's for sure. Here we go. Let's see the flop, especially if they miss. The flop is a Queen 10-7 flop, so both have an inside straight draw.
And Dwan with the backdoor flush draw. As you can see, Vogelsang has 0% chance of winning the hand unless he can get Dwan to fold.
The pot, $43,000.
And I'm sure he's going to continue with his pre-flop aggression here. He has 2 overcards. And as you said, Paul, he has the inside straight draw. Jack will give him the nuts.
Ow.
Both players like their hand enough to continue, I'm sure.
Vogelsang checks.
And one thing we do know, that Tom will always take his time.
The turn, an 8 of spades. Now it's a very wet board. Take a look at Gus Hansen. He's really trying to get a seat. He's trying to whisper people out of their seats. Come on, how long are you going to stay for?
It's like, you've won enough. Away you go. I promise I'll lose.
What is it? How much do I owe? 250 or so?
And it goes check, check again. Let's see a river. It is a 3 of spades. Will anyone bet at this pot, or will it be a chop? If you bet, you're going to win the hand.
I think if you bet, you're going to get called.
Let's have a look. Let's see.
Depends how big the bet is, obviously, but no one showed any interest in this pot whatsoever.
Well, you haven't been wrong a lot.
Seat 7 bets 23,000.
23,000.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tom calls here. I mean, obviously he only beats a bluff. He'd be calling to chop. But I think we would have found out a little bit earlier if Christoph had a draw here.
Well, I think he's going to fold. But what do I know?
He could raise.
Could I be right and Grant Levy be wrong? Yes, I am right. Tom Dwan folds. Miracles do happen. I am right in this hand.
And I'm just about to retire. It's been nice. It's been a good ride.
Well, Vogelsang takes down a nice pot here at the high stakes cash game at Crown Casino during the 2014 Aussie Millions. And we will be back with more after the break here at Crown Melbourne. And welcome back to the Aussie Millions Poker Championships high stakes cash game. $250,000 to enter, or at least sit down. You need more probably if you're not doing too well. The players who have white numbers next to them, they are doing very well, and the ones that have red next to them, well, they're not doing so well. As you can see, Patrick Antonius is now well up, almost $600,000 in profits. Phil Ivey, almost $500,000. And all the way down the bottom, those guys in red, they really need to do some work. There is the feature table. Ike Haxton, who had a very, very rough time. He made up a little bit of ground a little bit earlier on Max Altergott. Round to Phil Ivey, who has just continued to build that stack. He's got Gus Hansen behind him, stalking him, hoping to get out of that seat so he can jump into it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's a few players on the table that are saying, Phil, take a break. Let's just get Gus in here for a little bit.
I'm sure.
Gus, notorious for loving a little bit of a cash game gamble.
Well, Vogelsang's involved with pocket eights, and Ivy, we can see, has the ace of clubs. Newey's along for the ride. The flop, a queen nine jack flop, 2 hearts, very textured board. A lot of hands hit that flop.
Now, can we just cut it there and just say, okay, Phil, you win?
Well, you might, but Newey's got something to say about it. He flopped the straight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Phil does win this one.
No, he folds and talks to Gus. The strategy's working, so Newey's bet will take down the pot of about $34,000. I can't believe Phil Ivey didn't win that hand. As we carry on, yeah, he is human sometimes. And there is the player profile for Paul Newey. He is from England. He was the founder of Ocean Finance in 1991, and he sold it for almost, well, over £200 million. So he's not short of a quid. He can afford to play this cash game.
Certainly can. He's not had a great day. Started well. He's dropped a few pots. He's in the red for a couple $100,000.
Well, he's facing some of the best players in the world over the last 10 or 20 years. That guy has simply been the best in the world. Behind him, a former winner of the Aussie Millions and one of the most recognised players, Gus Hansen. Rounder Vogelsang, who joined the table not so long ago, cash games. The seats change a lot. He folds this time. Round to Paul Newey. He wants to get involved. He's got 6-7 of diamonds. Ike Haxton.
Doug Polk trying to do the aces dance. He knows it's the last hand. Come on, aces, he says.
Well, Dwan's in there with Queen Jack offsuit. Doug Polk, he wants to be a part of this. He's got ace-10 offsuit. And once again, we don't know what Phil Ivey has. That just makes him even scarier.
The enigma.
The flop, a 10-8-7 flop with 2 hearts. So many of these boards, so much action for cash.
Well, I mean, we know Tom Dwan has the overcards, the inside straight draw. Newey has a pair and an inside straight draw.
Wow, what
Tom
a turn
and
card.
Newey both hit their straight.
The 9 of diamonds peels, and that's just going to connect and bring everyone closer together.
Phil Ivey with the deuces. It's going to be tough for him from here.
He could still make it happen.
Thank you.
Well, Dwan bets 20,000. Polk gets out of the way. Ivy gets out of the way.
Paul Newey just folds a straight. Okay, I've had enough.
So Newey folds, and it is a good fold because Tom Dwan had the absolute nuts on the turn. And a very nice hand as well. And that will end the action for today's play here at the Aussie Millions Poker Championships high stakes cash game. It costs these players $250,000 to sit down at that table. And throughout this series, we have seen it all. Two of the most entertaining players in Lo Xingfeng and Paul Hua, well, they played a pot of approximately 1 million Australian dollars. Quite amazing. Patrick Antonius, he continues to come back to the Aussie Millions. He loves it here. He was having a tough day. And then he made $1 million turnaround. So that was quite incredible to watch as well. And of course, Phil Ivey. Well, he showed us why that he is simply the most feared player in the world. His stack just grew and grew. Thank you so much for watching the 2014 Aussie Millions high stakes cash games right here at the home of the Aussie Millions, Crown Melbourne.